Toronto real estate prices have peaked in 2023. There's a very, very good chance that was a very valid statement. This means that prices will be going down from here on out, but it's not going down to what most of the bears would want to see. So make sure you stay tuned to find out exactly what I mean by that as I share more information with you about what's happening in the real estate market. And this information that I'm sharing with you right now, I would have shared with my clients prior. So if you want an information advantage when you're transacting in the Greater Toronto area for the buying, selling, or investing like my clients have right now, you could book a call with me using the link that's on the screen. It's right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Simply click on the date and a time that works best for you. And then when you see the prompt, fill in your name, email, mobile phone number, and the question you have for me, and then we'll chat then. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. My name is Zhen, and I run and operate a RE/MAX in the Greater Toronto area, on top of making awesome educational videos just like this one for you about the real estate market. And we found this video helpful in your real estate journey, whether you're buying, selling, or investing, or just general curiosity about the Toronto real estate market, which seems to be the sport other than hockey in Toronto. Then help me spread the knowledge by smashing the like button and subscribing to the Prime Properties channel so that helps get information out there to everybody. So have Toronto real estate prices peaked for 2023 this year? I would say, yeah. I'd give probably like a 70% chance of it being true, and I'll explain how I arrived at this 70% later on in this video. But let me share some charts with you to kind of show you why I arrived at this conclusion and why I kind of went down this rabbit hole to dig up some data to explain a lot of this to you. So this chart over here is a chart of the average price in the Greater Toronto area every single week going back 6 months. So that brings us to late November-ish, give or take. And yes, at some point, when you look at the chart, one bar is below the $1 million price point. But you have to remember, this is aggregate data, meaning it's all the data points in that 1 week. So it had a few outliers dragging it down, it would bring it down. Now, you can see this past week outlined here is the first week in the spring market where the average prices started to trend downwards, started declining. Granted, it's a very, very small decline as normal, but it's still there. And the reason I went down this rabbit hole is because I anecdotally start seeing fewer offers on properties. And some of the properties that I'm seeing right now are selling less than the neighboring comparative property that I would have sold for a few weeks ago. Right? Now, bears don't rejoice. The way I perceive this data is that the spring frenzy or like the spring demand has kind of cooled down, or those buyers have bought their property already. It doesn't mean that the Toronto real estate prices are crashing. No means, not even close. This is just a normal seasonality that I've been saying for the last 2 months. Granted, this past week was, long weekend, May 2-4, Victoria long weekend, whatever you want to call it. But usually seasonality slows down starting around now. Will we still see record prices for the turnkey picturesque properties that are 100% ready to move in? 100%, yeah, we will. But will we still see the properties sell, most of them above market value due to multiple offers from previously? I don't think so, not likely. Now, here is a chart showing the average sale to list ratio. Again, I don't personally like to use this number too much, but it's kind of like a heat map showing you how the multiple offers started in February. So like I've been always saying, least amount of inventory, still a lot of buyers in February, and it has slowly escalated throughout the spring market where the average percentage sold over ask right now is 108%. Or essentially, a lot of people are listing the property under market. And this is very, very, very normal outside of the last 2 years of craziness, right? And while this isn't a science and agents can artificially list properties very low, for that to work, there has to be enough demand. Because if there's no demand, listing it low isn't going to work. So are we still growing in that instance? Yes, of course, but it will start to decline because that metric is the lagging indicator of the average price. Because when the average price goes down, the sellers are less confident about where the price is going to, and they're going to less likely to be holding offers, right? So this is exactly how kind of that seasonality mixes in. Now, do remember, this is me providing you data ahead of time before the May numbers come out in like a week or two, or maybe next month. I don't know when. We'll call it a week or two / next month, around that time, first week of June. But don't be shocked that the average prices are going to be over $1.2 million again, because again, that's normal, and that there are going to be a lot of bullish narratives from the media. Now, the narrative will also be normal sales, historically speaking, because we got that many sales, relatively speaking, but still record low new listings. Now, let me tell you why I pegged May 2023 prices to be the peak this year. Now, historically speaking, May is the most likely month to be the highest price for most years. Because if you have a look at the chart I made over here, it shows each year which month had the highest price and what that price was if you're curious, right? But what you'll notice is that May leads the pack with the most amount at 7 times when the highest price of the year occurs in May. So statistically speaking, in the last 26 years we've had this data, it's about like a 1 in 4 chance or 25% chance probability that May is going to be highest price. Again, this is fairly known for most veterans in the industry, or you've been following real estate for that long, but I'm just providing supporting data for this, right? Because sometimes the obvious isn't that obvious to most people, right? Common sense isn't common anymore. However, if I break this data down to something that's a bit more digestible to give you some context, you can see that the 2 peak months tend to be May and October. Now, that's because that's the peak of the spring market and the fall market, respectively. Fall being for October, May being for spring. Again, seasonality that I've almost seen for a decade now, but maybe not for most. Now, if I break down this information into spring market versus fall market, there's a 58% chance that the highest price happens in spring. So, duh, right? Again, common sense may not be so common anymore. But the interesting data point is that when I looked at all of this, the prices, if they were the highest in June, were shockingly close to May. So I would say if we do get a high price in June, it's more or less the same. We're very, very close to one another in every single year. And this is the same in November in the fall. This means that seasonally speaking, we have a very, very high probability we're at the peak pricing for 2023. Now, I made this video because I did notice the bids, like the number of offers, and prices were less aggressive in the last week, just anecdotally from what I can tell. Again, this is why I dug into data and went down the rabbit hole. And while I could be wrong and June prices could be the peak of this year, I bet you it'll be close enough, right? Now, if you look at this data over here, one of the obvious facts is March, got one of the top spots, which is in 2022, because, that was before the 450 basis point rate hiking cycle. Yeah, so there was that. And in September 2000, I'm not sure. I really wasn't trading then. I was still a chump. So notice here how there are no months of July. There are no months of August or December. It's because those are the very slow months, which is summer months and the holidays, right? And the big boy homes don't usually go for sale here unless, they have to sell. And this is why most of them aren't on for sale and won't drag up the average, meaning that the prices are lower. Now, why am I so sure fall prices won't trump spring of 2023 this year? 2 words: looming recession. Whether it's a soft recession or a hard recession, I'm pretty sure it's coming and it's going to change the sentiment of the market. And when you mix that in with the inflation numbers that came out a week ago, it's an odd story, but it keeps changing constantly. The market keeps going back and forth before they get a rate hike. And I doubt we'll have more demand this fall than in the spring because we had some pent-up demand from 2022 when people were unsure of where the rates were going to be, right? So that's why there's a lot of demand jammed into the spring market. However, if inventory problem persists in the fall and the data changes, obviously the output and the projection is going to change as well. As I've been saying, new input, new output. But at the moment, as of right now, the demand is waning from what I can tell, and some more inventory is coming to the market. And I suspect we'll be trending towards a less frenetic seller's market, and we may see the months of inventory, meaning the velocity of the market, increase like a smidgen from here. We're not going to get to buyer's market or balanced market, but just increase to a less frenetic seller's market. So while this may seem trivial to some, a lot of people don't really understand this and may have thought we'd be seeing another really bullish run in real estate prices because they were increasing above the seasonal norm. Again, we may if the data changes, but my thesis is still holding true, and it's always been that we're seeing above average seasonal increases because the demand pulled over from 2022 plus a lack of inventory. I think once the May numbers come out, we may get one last push of the spring market, but again, that's all part of the seasonal norm, right? Hopefully no more crazy headlines. Granted, I'm pretty sure some media headlines will fabricate or, twist some numbers in some way, shape, or form for some clicks, right? That's just normal, right? Guilty as of it as well. So A more chill, normal real estate market would be very, very nice for me. Anyways, hope this gives you an idea and some insights as to what is actually happening in the real estate market and before even some of the data is coming out, so that you understand exactly how to navigate this market. And if you are looking for some help on how to navigate this market, whether you're buying, selling, or investing, and you know other friends or families that may need a good realtor to help them, you could book a call with me using the link that's right here. You can also send them there, which is www.chatwithzen.com, to book a call with me so we can talk about your unique situation personally. Hopefully this helps, and until next time, your move, your future. See ya! Now that I'm done watching this video, I think you should check out this video. And you know what? Why don't you check out this video too?